Hello everybody, my name is Ratnos and welcome to This Week in Mythic Plus. This week's affixes are Fortified, Inspiring, Grievous, Shrouded. Usually I say and of course before that end bit, so I got a little bit thrown off on my pattern there. But yeah, it's not the greatest week we have on the calendar. There are a lot of nasty Fortified weeks that you can see we have to deal with these ever since they changed the affix rotations last season. So not many great Fortified weeks, and this is one where there's certainly challenges. The Fortified Grievous combo makes trash packs pretty nasty. Grievous being active in general means that even the bosses are still pretty lethal, even though they're a lot shorter than they are on tyrannical weeks. Grievous Zolgamux is a demon creature that you may wish to skip in your dungeons. And then Inspiring, there are a few Inspiring hiccups you'll run into in these dungeons, although I will say many of the most offensive Inspiring mobs, because Inspiring was our first week of the season, many of the mobs that were most offensive on that list are now much better. They've done a lot of changes to some of the mobs to give you extra counterplay against them, and they've moved a couple of the Inspirings that were really bad. So, real quick, let's go through the dungeons, talk about some of the different, things that you'll run into here. The train. Obviously, you can't do too much skipping here. You can walk past this pack here, and I would recommend it because this pack has an Inspiring Laborer. That means there's an Inspired Technician, and both of its casts are very bad. So, walk past this one, pull the one with the Inspiring Technician because you can still kick it, and that'll make your day a lot better. If you want to do this pack anyways, get this Infiltrator buff. Just make sure you CC the Laborer or knock it out to land the kicks on the Technician. But I'd recommend just skip past the Inspired Laborer. And then, okay, at the end of the dungeon, you have the Inspiring here that is going to make the Farseers not interruptible, so you won't be able to interrupt their Storm Shield. You can still purge this, so either CC this and kick the shields, or make sure you have an instant purge ready for the shields when they get cast, because those will kill people. Those do kill people. Doc's Inspiring, I don't remember anything in here being too horrific with this affix. There's not really too much interrupts in here. A lot of the damage just kind of happens. So not too bad. The Grievous last boss, Grievous second boss, Grievous third boss all can be kind of a pain, but yeah, I think this is one of the better ones for Inspiring, just given how the dungeon design worked with interrupts. There just weren't that many in this place. Streets of Wonder, I've been going left in this dungeon, and I've been really liking the way that it works, so I'm recommending this for general pug use. You can always go right. You can go right in this dungeon and be totally fine. But one of the nice things about going left is you can get so many of these infiltrators early on. So I like this route in this dungeon kind of always. I don't think all of the Inspiring mobs are all marked in this place, so you may have to, because I'm pretty sure there are some Inspirings over here, and they're just not all flagged in MDT yet, so do watch out for those in that part of the dungeon. Similarly in Gambit, I know there's Inspiring, I know there's more Inspiring than just this one in the Murloc area, but I don't seem to all be flagged yet, so with the Murloc area in Gambit, you want to make sure that if the Scalebinder is affected by an Inspiring Aura, you should CC whatever is doing the Inspiring Aura, pull the pack, stop the first cast of Fish Stick, and then you can usually pull in the Inspiring mob, because usually you'll be able to get it so that it doesn't cast a second Fish Stick, or so that it starts fleeing before it would. So that's usually a safe way to do these sorts of pulls, but yeah, it depends. I mean, you can just brute force and just kill the Fish Stick, but usually if you have to kill one Fish Stick, that'll make the pack live long enough that then it casts a second one, and it gets really annoying. So I would try and avoid that happening whenever possible. Assigning somebody like a Death Knight's really good for this because they can just Death Grip. It's a nice short cooldown. They can Death Grip every Fish Stick. Something like a Kidney Shot, a Gouge, a Dragon's Breath, any sort of stun just used against the Fish Stick. Really, really good. Junkyard, I think Gunker first should work in America. I don't think it does in Europe. I'm not 100% sure. You may have to go Trixie first in Europe. Inspiring in here, there's a little bit of an annoying Inspiring setup. You'll have to deal with the Slime Elementals charging if you pull all these at the same time. But it's not, I don't think that's the end of the world. You just have to pay attention to where they're aiming. If you want, you can play this dungeon really slow and just CC the Inspiring Mob, kill it off after, but yeah, that's how I would handle that place. Workshop. Walk through the dungeon in a straight line. It's worth noting they've removed the true sight. This stealth detect is no longer true on the defense bots marks 3 back here. So you can actually invis pot through here. You can even shroud through here, although the annoying part about shroud is the infiltrator makes it pretty hard to shroud through. So shroud has a pretty low success rate in groups in trying to skip past this. It can work, but everybody needs to be standing in the right spots. It's less room for error than there is on a normal shroud. But invis potting through this, of course, Warlock Gateway still works great, is now an option. You can also just still hold W, pull the whole dungeon. You could still skip this like yellow pull instead if you wanted. You could skip Zolgamux, whatever you want will work in this dungeon very much. It's very linear, right? So just pick one thing to skip or 0 things. Lower Karazhan, I very much like dying after Zolgamux this week in particular, because I don't like... I think there's a big risk of failure whenever you walk downstairs, especially in a pug, with this Inspiring getting involved with Firelands portal casts, and then it's over. So, kill Zolgamux, go back to the start of the dungeon, hop over to Medivh, head down to Ataman, head back up to Maiden. If you are playing in a group that is a little bit more coordinated, is comfortable using shrouds and stuff, you can cut the trash in the Maiden area and instead do the stuff under the stage. You can do the spider area. You could do some pulls there. There's a lot of ways you can get your count here, and I do think some of it is better than the Maiden area. I just don't think it's enough better than the Maiden area to like recommend shrouds and invis pots, given how surprisingly hard it can be to get pugs on board for those. I like to save those recommendations for when they're really good. Like in Upper Karazhan, this hallway, invis pots are so good if you can skip this last hallway. These mobs are so annoying, the Slayer, the Pyromancer. Similarly in Upper, you can skip these 2 golems without using anything. You can just walk down the middle of the carpet. You won't pull either one, so I recommend that because you don't need the count. And then you can either pull... So pulling this Flamebringer is like the easiest way to get through this dungeon. If you are in a good group, if you're in a high key, you can instead shroud this guy, and you can instead pull these 2 infiltrators, and you'll still get your count, and you'll get the stacks of shrouded instead, and you won't have to pull this Flamebringer. But usually if you want to do this, you'll like jump down, grab this infiltrator, loop around the back of this place, and then get over and down to this other infiltrator, wait for the Pyromancer patrol to go back the other way again, and then run back up and around. So it's pretty complicated. There's a good chance that somebody will accidentally pull the Pyromancer if you try this, but if you get it down, it's a really good strat, because we love shrouded stacks for these bosses and for the chess event later. And yeah, those are your dungeons this week. Hope you have some good times in your keys. Not the greatest week on the calendar, but few Fortified weeks are, so... there are few Fortified weeks with good accompanying affixes anymore, so this kind of, I mean, it's probably better than Bolstering Quaking, Raging Explosive, Spiteful Necrotic, Bursting Storming. Those were the good old days, and I don't know if we're actually going to get back to that before Dragonflight pre-patch even, or Dragonflight potentially. I don't know what the timing looks like, but may or may not even be possible, so yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Good luck in your keys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.